Hi everyone, Professor Franz here. Today we're exploring the topic of demand shifters, the factors that can cause demand curve to move left or right. Let's break them down. Demand shifters are non-price factors that can cause the demand curve to shift either to the left or to the right, depending on the situation. Here is a list of the main demand shifters we will be discussing one by one. Income, number of buyers, price of related goods, including substitutes and complements, expectations about future income, and expectations about future prices. Each of these factors plays a role in shifting the demand to the right or left. Our income, or the change of the income, is a demand shifter. Would an increase in income shift the demand curve to the right or left? That depends on whether the good in question is a normal good or an inferior good. By definition, a normal good is one you tend to buy more of when your income increases. Think intuitively. What kinds of things do you desire when you are earning more? Luxurious hotel stays, fine dining experiences, concert tickets, high-end cars, or the latest tech gadgets like smartphones. As your income rises, your demand for these items increases, shifting the demand curve to the right. But if your income falls, you will likely purchase fewer of those goods, causing the demand curve to shift to the left. So there you have it. When income increases, the demand for normal goods shifts to the right. Now let's talk about inferior goods. These are the types of goods that people tend to consume less when their income goes up. Think of fast food, pasta oils, store brand soda, used clothing, dollar store products. You might not love them, but sometimes we make do to stretch our budget. As income increases, we usually trade up and buy fewer of these items. That's why the demand curve for inferior goods shifts to the left when income increases. On the flip side, when income drops, this budget-friendly alternatively suddenly become more appealing and demand for them goes up, shifting the demand curve to the right. Our tastes and preferences can also shift the demand curve. For example, demand for gym memberships typically increases in early January due to New Year's resolutions. Here is another example. The demand for plastic straws decreases as consumers become more aware of ocean pollution, shifting the demand for plastic straws to the left. Another key demand shifter is the number of buyers. When more people enter the market, the demand curve shifts to the right, indicating increased demand. Conversely, a decrease in the number of buyers shifts the demand curve to the left. Before we discuss how the price of related goods can shift the demand curve, let's first define what related goods are. Two goods are related when they are either substitutes or complements. Two goods are substitutes when they compete against each other. Intuitively, think about A or B. For instance, when you want a cola, you typically choose either a Coke or a Pepsi, but rarely both at the same time. It's usually one or the other. The same goes for tablets. If you're in the market for one, you're likely buy either an iPad or an Amazon Fire. Most consumers don't purchase both. And when it comes to lunch, you might go for a burger or a pizza, but again, it's uncommon for someone to buy both at once. These examples show how substitutes work. They serve similar purposes, so consumers tend to choose between them, not both of them. Now let's look at complements. Two goods are complements if they are typically consumed together. In other words, think about A and B relationship. Here are some familiar examples. Peanut butter and jelly. They are often paired to make a classic sandwich. Coffee and cream. Many people enjoy them together for the perfect cup. Computer and software. A computer isn't very useful without the right software. Gasoline and a motor vehicle. A car needs gas to run, so they go hand in hand. Can you also come up with another example of complements? Now, let's think through a scenario. Suppose you usually grab a Pepsi to go with your lunch at the school cafeteria. On a typical day, both Coke and Pepsi are priced at $3 per can. But today, something has changed. Pepsi is now $4, while Coke is still $3. So what would you do? Would you still choose Pepsi, or would you switch to Coke instead? Unless you're a very loyal Pepsi fan, most of us will probably switch and grab a Coke instead. Here's what's happening. Imagine the green dots represent your typical consumption when both Pepsi and Coke are priced at $3 per can. For example, at that price, I might usually buy one Pepsi and 0 Cokes. But when the price of Pepsi rises to $4, that changes my decision. Since Coke is still $3, I will replace Pepsi with Coke. Therefore, the demand curve for Coke shifts to the right. That change in behavior is reflected by the red dots, showing my new choice, 0 Pepsi and 1 Coke. So, what's the takeaway? A rise in the price of a substitute increases demand for the other good, while a drop in the price of a substitute decreases it. You don't need to memorize this rule. Just think back about the Coke and Pepsi example. When Pepsi became more expensive, you switched to Coke, increasing your demand for it. On the flip side, if Pepsi's price drops, you will likely buy more Pepsi and your demand for Coke will go down. Now, let's switch gears and explore how the price of a complement can affect the demand curve. Suppose you love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so you'll always buy both peanut butter and jelly together. Typically, each jar costs $6, and you'll buy one of each. But today, the price of peanut butter jumps to $8. You decide that's just too expensive, so you skip buying peanut butter. But without peanut butter, there is no point in buying jelly either. So even though jelly is still $6, you don't buy it. This means your demand for jelly has decreased, even though its price hasn't changed. The demand curve for jelly shifts to the left because the price of its complement, peanut butter, has increased. So there you have it. A rise in the price of a complementary good decreases demand, while a drop in its price increases demand. And again, there is no need to memorize this rule. Just think back to the peanut butter and jelly example. When peanut butter got too expensive, you skip buying jelly too. That's how you can figure out which direction the demand curve shifts. Finally, let's explore how expectations about future income and future prices can shift the demand curve. What would you do if you feared the economy was about to crash and you might lose your job? Even though you're still employed, you might start cutting back and saving for tougher times ahead. As a result, your demand for normal goods, like dining out or buying brand name products, will likely decrease. At the same time, your demand for inferior goods, like instant noodles or store-brand items, might increase. This change in behavior, based on expectations about future income, causes the demand curve to adjust accordingly. Now, let's look at the flip side. What if you landed an amazing job with a great salary just a month before your graduation? Even though the paycheck hasn't started yet, you know it's coming in just a few weeks. Chances are you will start to spend a little more, maybe dining out more often or buying nicer clothes. This is a great example of how expectations of higher income in the near future can increase your demand for normal goods while decreasing your demand for inferior goods. Now imagine this. You know that gas price will rise by 50% next week, and your tank is only half full. What would you do? Most likely, you will fill up your tank now to avoid paying more later. Now imagine this. You know that gas price will drop by 25% next week, and your tank is only a quarter full. What would you do? Most likely, you will wait and fill up your tank after the price goes down. This behavior shows how expectations of future prices will increase or reduce our current demand. Let's wrap up with a quick recap of the key factors that can shift the demand curve. These are known as demand shifters, and they include income. As income changes, so does our ability to buy goods. Tastes and preferences. Trends, knowledge, and personal preferences can influence demand. Number of buyers. More buyers in the market increase demand. Fewer buyers decrease it. Price of related goods. This includes both substitutes, goods that can replace each other, like Coke and Pepsi, or complements, goods that are used together, like peanut butter and jelly. And finally, expectations of future income and future prices. Each of these factors can shift the demand curve to the right, an increasing demand, or to the left, a decreasing demand, depending on the situation. I hope this video has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.